Hello everyone. So, in this lecture we have already solved flow between two parallel plates where upper plate is moving with a constant velocity u and lower plate is stationary. We have also solved plane Poiseuille flow. In this case we considered flow between two infinite parallel plates and plates are stationary. Today we will consider combined Couette and Poiseuille flow, where we will consider flow inside two infinite parallel plates, where lower plate is stationary and upper plate is moving with a constant velocity u, and also we have a imposed pressure gradient. So, you can see in this case the flow will be due to shear, where the upper plate is moving, as well as it is due to the imposed pressure gradient. The following assumptions we will take while solving this combined Couette and Poiseuille flow. We will consider laminar, steady, incompressible flow with constant properties. It is a fully developed flow. So, del u by del x is 0, and obviously the plates are infinite. So, V and W are 0. We have a pressure gradient del p by del x which is constant, and gravitational acceleration in x direction is 0. So, you can see these are two infinite parallel plates where lower plate is stationary, velocity is 0, and upper plate is moving in positive x direction with a constant velocity u, and y is measured from the bottom plate. So, invoking these assumptions, we can write the ordinary differential equation, which is your governing equation. So, it will be d2u by dy square is equal to 1 by mu del p by del x. Okay. So, obviously u is function of y only. So, that is why we have written ordinary differential. Now, if you integrate twice, then you will get the velocity profile. So, if you integrate this differential equation, you will get 1 by mu del p by del x y plus integration constant c1, and again if you integrate, then you will get the velocity profile u y 1 by twice mu del p by del x y square plus c1 y plus c2. So, now we need to find these constants c1 and c2 invoking the boundary conditions. So, we have two unknowns c1 and c2. So, we have two boundary conditions. One is at y is equal to 0, velocity is 0, u is equal to 0, and at y is equal to h, the upper plate is moving at a constant velocity u. So, u is equal to capital U. So, we have boundary conditions. So, bottom plate is stationary and upper plate is moving with a constant velocity u. Okay. So, now if you invoke this condition at y is equal to 0, u is equal to 0, obviously you are going to get C2 as 0, and if you put y is equal to h, u is equal to u, and you will get the constant C1 as u by h minus h by twice mu del p by del x. Okay. Here capital H is the distance between two parallel plates. So, now if you put this constant C1 and C2 in this equation, we will get the velocity profile. So, velocity profile is, so after putting the values of C1 and C2, you will get u is equal to u y by h plus h square by twice mu minus del p by del x into y by h into 1 minus y by h. So, you carefully see this velocity profile. So, you can see the first term in the right hand side, that is the solution from the plane co-ed flow, and if you see the second term in this velocity profile, that is the solution from the plane Poiseuille flow. So, you can see that the governing equation is linear and homogeneous. So, we are getting the superposition of these two velocities as velocity for the combined co-ed and Poiseuille flow. Now, we will introduce one pressure parameter capital P, which is h square by twice mu u into minus del p by del x. Okay. So, you can see that if we consider a favorable pressure gradient, then minus del p by del x will be positive, and in that case p will be positive, and if we consider adverse pressure gradient, then minus del p by del x will be negative and p will be negative. So, if you invoke this, if you rearrange this term, then you can write the velocity profile in terms of this pressure parameter P as u y by h plus P. So, u we have in the denominator, so we have to multiply 1 in the numerator, y by h into 1 minus y by h. So, this is the solution for plane co-ed flow, and this is the solution for plane Poiseuille flow. Now, let us calculate the shear stress distribution inside the fluid domain. So, we know in this case shear stress tau is equal to mu du by dy. So, we know the velocity profile. So, if you take the derivative with respect to y, you will be able to find the shear stress. So, shear stress is tau is equal to mu du by dy. So, we have the velocity profile this one. So, if you take the derivative du by dy, so obviously first term you will get u by h, and here you get p u into 1 by h minus 2 y by h square. So, shear stress which is function of y, you will get mu u by h plus mu p u by h into 1 minus 2 y by h. Okay. So, now if we want to find the shear stress at the bottom wall, then at y is equal to 0, we will get tau at y is equal to 0 as mu u by h plus mu p u by h. Okay. So, it will be mu u by h into 1 plus p, and at top wall, so you will get the shear stress at y is equal to h as mu u by h minus mu p u by h is equal to mu u by h into 1 minus p. Now, we are interested to find the average velocity. So, first we will find the volume flow rate, then we will find the average velocity inside the flow domain. So, you know volume flow rate q is equal to average velocity into flow area, right, that you can write as area integral u into dA. dA is the elemental area. So, you can see that at a distance y from the bottom wall, if you take a elemental distance dy, then flow area will be dy into the width of the plate. So, that if we consider as w, then it will be w into dy. So, you can write q is equal to u into w into dy. Okay. So, if these are the two plates and if you consider at a distance y one elemental distance dy, then dy into w is the width of the plate perpendicular to this board. So, w into dy. Okay. So, now we know the velocity profile. So, and integral y is varying from y is equal to 0 to h. Okay. So, you will get 0 to h. Now, you put the velocity profile u into y by h plus p u into y by h minus y square by h square dy, and w as it is constant you can take outside the integral. So, you can write w. Now, if you integrate it, it will be y square by 2. So, it will be h square by 2h plus p u. Here also you will get y square by 2h. So, if you put the limits, then you will get h square by 2h minus it will be y cube by 3. So, h cube by 3h square. Okay. So, if you rearrange it and if you write the volume flow rate per unit width, then we can write q by w is equal to u h by 2 plus. So, if you see this term, if you rearrange, you will get p u h by 6. Okay. And what is the value of p? P is h square by twice mu u minus del p by del x. So, if you put it here, you will get u h by 2 plus h cube by 12 mu into minus del p by del x. Okay. So, now if you look into this expression carefully, you can see the first term obviously the volume flow rate per unit width for the case of plane Couette flow, and the second term is for plane Poiseuille flow. Now, if you want to find the average velocity, so you can write u average is equal to, so it will be q divided by the flow area, it is h into w because the distance between two plates is h. So, h into w. So, you will get u by 2 plus p u by 6. Okay. So, you will get half plus p by 6 into u. Okay. So, now depending on the value of p, okay, you can find the average velocity. Obviously, if it is a favorable pressure gradient, p will be positive, but if it is adverse pressure gradient, so p will be negative. So, depending on that you will get u average whether it is positive or negative. So, now we want to find the location for maximum or minimum velocity, because you can see that the flow is occurring due to shear driven flow as well as pressure driven flow. So, you can see that maximum velocity always it will not occur at the top plate. Okay. So, it may occur inside the fluid domain depending on the value of the pressure parameter p or the pressure gradient minus del p by del x. And if you have adverse pressure gradient, so there will be minimum velocity also, minimum velocity will not be 0, it may be negative. So, first to find the location where the minimum and maximum velocity will occur, so obviously we will put du by dy is equal to 0. So, to find the location for maximum and minimum velocity, we need to put du by dy is equal to 0, and if you put it, so you will get u by h 1 plus p minus 2p y max divided by h is equal to 0. So, you can find y max by h as 1 plus p divided by 2p or half plus 1 by 2p. So, you can see this y max is the y corresponding to the location of maximum or minimum velocity. You can see that if p is equal to 0, then obviously it is plane coed flow, because it is a purely shear driven flow. So, in that case maximum or minimum velocity will not occur inside the flow domain, right, because you can see that your upper plate is moving with a velocity capital U, and that is the maximum velocity, okay, and inside the fluid domain you will not get the maximum or minimum velocity. Now, if you consider that p is equal to 1, then what will happen? So, if you put p is equal to 1, then you can see y max by h, it will be 1. That means, when you vary p from 0 to 1, the maximum velocity will not occur inside the flow domain. Okay. So, always the velocity will be maximum at the plate. Okay. So, and if you consider p is equal to minus 1, so what will happen? So, if you p is equal to minus 1, then obviously you can see y max by h will be 0. That means, in that case when you have a adverse pressure gradient and p is equal to minus 1, then you will not get the minimum velocity inside the fluid domain, only at the bottom plate you will get the minimum velocity. And in that case you can see that when p varies 0 to 1, so velocity will monotonically vary from 0 at the bottom plate to capital U to the upper plate, and when p varies between 0 to minus 1, so in that case the velocity will monotonically decrease from the upper plate at capital U to 0 at the lower plate. So, if you now if you want to find whether the maximum velocity or minimum velocity will occur, so you can find d2u by dy square. So, what is d2u by dy square? So, that is minus twice p u by h square. So, you can see depending on the value of p, you will get either maximum velocity or minimum velocity inside the flow domain. So, obviously you can see p greater than 0, that means it is favorable pressure gradient. So, you will get the maximum velocity inside the flow domain, and if p less than 0, then obviously it will be positive quantity and minimum velocity you will get the flow domain, but between p when it varies 0 to 1, obviously the maximum or minimum velocity will not occur inside the flow domain, and when p varies between 0 to minus 1, then also you will not get the maximum or minimum velocity inside the flow domain. So, if you find the maximum velocity, so u max, so you have the velocity profile. What is your velocity profile? So, the velocity profile u you can write as u y by h plus p u y by h into 1 minus y by h. So, now to get the maximum velocity, you can put the value of y max by h, this expression in this velocity profile. So, if you put it y by h, you can take it outside. So, you will get 1 plus p divided by 2 p, that is your 1 y by h into u. So, u also you can take it outside. So, you will get 1, then you have plus p, then minus p into 1 plus p divided by 2 p. Okay. So, you can see if you rearrange it, you will get u into 1 plus p whole square by 4 p. Okay, if you rearrange you will get this. So, and this u max you will get when p greater than equal to 1. Okay. And minimum velocity also you will get the same expression if you put here, but minimum velocity will occur when you have adverse pressure gradient, and we have seen that if p varies 0 to minus 1, obviously the maximum velocity will occur at p is equal to minus 1 at the wall, and velocity monotonically decreases from capital U from the upper plate to the 0 in the lower plate. So, this minimum velocity will occur when p is less than equal to minus 1. Okay. So, now let us find that where the velocity will become 0 in the case of adverse pressure gradient inside the fluid domain, because you can see that there will be minimum velocity inside the fluid domain and you have the maximum velocity at the top plate where at y is equal to h, which is moving at a constant velocity u. So, obviously somewhere inside the flow domain velocity will become 0. Okay. So, we can write when u is equal to 0, what is the location of this. Okay. So, from this expression of velocity profile you can see, you can write 1 plus p minus p y by h is equal to 0. So, from here you can see y by h when u is equal to 0, it will become 1 plus p divided by p when p is less than equal to minus 1. Okay. Now, we will consider first favorable pressure gradient, that means minus del p by del x is greater than 0, that means the pressure parameter is greater than 0. If p is equal to 0, obviously you know that it is a case for plane quaid flow and velocity profile will be linear, because it varies linearly from 0 to capital U. So, you can see this is our velocity profile, this is the shear stress profile, and the volume flow rate is per unit width. So, it is Q by W is this, and bottom plate shear stress is this one, upper plate shear stress is this one, and for maximum velocity p greater than equal to 1, you will get y max by h as half plus 1 by 2p, and this is the expression for maximum velocity. So, at if p is equal to 0, we know this is a plane quaid flow. So, obviously velocity will vary from 0 to u. So, you can see y is equal to u into y by h, and shear stress is constant mu u by h, and this is the shear stress distribution, and volume flow rate per unit width will be just half into u h. In this case, when we considered plane quaid flow, the pressure gradient was 0. Now, let us consider favorable pressure gradient, that means p greater than 0. So, first let us consider p is equal to 1. So, if p is equal to 1, then you can see from this expression y max by h will be 1, u max will be capital U, and tau at y is equal to 0, if you put in this expression you will get 2 mu u by h, and tau at the upper plate this will be 0, and the volume flow rate per unit width it will be 2 by 3 u h. So, you can see the shear stress at the top plate it will be 0. So, shear stress distribution is this one, and bottom plate is twice mu u by h, and as tau is equal to 0, that means at the upper plate velocity gradient is 0, that means velocity profile will look like this, and here du by dy will be 0. Here at this location the velocity gradient du by dy will be 0. Now, let us increase the pressure gradient. So, let us consider p is equal to 4. So, if you consider p is equal to 4, then y max by h you will get 5 by 8, u max you will get 25 by 16 into capital U. At the bottom plate shear stress is 5 mu u by h, and at the top plate tau is equal to minus 3 mu u by h, and volume flow rate per unit width is 7 by 6 u h. So, you can see obviously at location y max by h 5 by 8 you will get the maximum velocity. That means this distance, okay. So, this distance is 5 by 8 into h, okay, and shear stress distribution is like this, and maximum velocity is occurring at y is equal to 5 by 8 into h, and maximum velocity is this. So, you can see the maximum velocity is occurring inside the fluid domain, and for favorable pressure gradient you can see the location y max by h is half plus 1 by 2 p, and p is obviously positive quantity. So, the maximum velocity always will occur just near to the top plate, because it is half plus something, right. So, it will be near to the upper plate. Now, let us consider adverse pressure gradient where p is negative. So, first let us consider when p is equal to minus 1. So, if you consider p is equal to minus 1, here u minimum is expression is this, and p for p less than equal to minus 1, and from the expression here it will be y minimum by h, it is you can write y max by h, okay, from this expression. So, it will be 0. So, you can see that at the bottom plate you are going to get the minimum velocity, and that is 0, and shear stress at bottom plate is 0, upper plate is twice mu u by h, and volume flow rate per unit width is 1 by 3 uh. So, you can see the shear stress varies from 0 to twice mu u by h linearly, and the velocity decreases monotonically from capital U to 0, and at y is equal to 0 du by dy is 0, because shear stress is 0, right. So, the velocity gradient du by dy is 0 at this location, and this is the onset of flow reversal. So, you can see when shear stress is becoming 0 near to the bottom plate, this fluid which is sitting over this plate will not experience any shear stress, right. So, if you slightly decrease the pressure gradient, so there will be flow reversal. So, this is the point for onset of flow reversal, okay. So, at this point you can see this is the onset of flow reversal for p is equal to minus 1, and if you decrease p, then obviously flow reversal will take place. Now, if you consider p is equal to minus 3, then y max by h you will get 1 by 3, u minimum you will get minus 4 by 12 u, at the bottom plate you will get the shear stress minus twice mu u by h, and at the upper plate tau you will get 4 mu u by h. So, you can see shear stress is varying linearly from minus twice mu u by h to 4 mu u by h, and so you can see at this location which is your y max by h is 1 by 3. So, that means h by 3, okay. At this location you will get minimum velocity. So, you can see flow reversal has taken place. So, in this area when you will near to the upper plate you will get the flow velocity in the positive x direction, okay, and near to the bottom plate you can see there is flow reversal and velocity is in negative x direction, and where the velocity will become 0. So, you can see y by h where u is equal to 0 is 1 plus p divided by p, okay. So, you can see p is equal to minus 3. So, obviously, you are going to get 2 by 3, okay. So, that means this location where u is becoming 0, because this is becoming from velocity is changing from positive value to negative value. So, you will get this as 2 by 3 h, okay. So, at this location velocity is becoming 0, and if you find the volume flow rate per unit width, from here you can see p is equal to minus 3, then volume flow rate will become 0. So, you can see volume flow rate q by w is equal to 0. So, you can see it is a special case when p is equal to minus 3, that means you have a adverse pressure gradient. when p is equal to minus 3, the volume flow rate is 0, that means average velocity is 0. So, what is happening here? So, here you can see that your pressure gradient balances the shear, right. So, in this case you will get recirculating flow inside the flow domain such that your average velocity will become 0. Now, if you decrease the pressure gradient further, now let us consider p is equal to minus 4, then what will happen? So, p is equal to minus 4, so y max by h you will get 3 by 8, minimum velocity you will get minus 9 by 16 u, and shear stress at the bottom plate minus 3 mu u by h, at the top you will get 5 mu u by h, and y by h obviously you will get 3 by 4, okay, here 2 by 3 and here 3 by 4, and q so will be minus 1 by 6 u by h. So, you can see shear stress distribution looks like this, and velocity distribution obviously near to the upper plate you will get velocity in the positive x direction due to the shear of this upper plate, and due to adverse pressure gradient you will get the flow reversal, and this location where maximum velocity will occur. So, that is 3 by 8 h, and where velocity 0 you will get this location, this is 3 by 4 h. Okay. So, here you can see here velocity when p is equal to minus 1, the volume flow rate per unit width is positive. When p is equal to minus 3, it is becoming 0, and if you further decrease the pressure gradient, okay, volume flow rate per unit width becomes negative. Okay, that means your net flow will occur in the negative x direction. So, if you plot for different values of p this velocity profile. So, this is a non-dimensional velocity u by u, and this is the non-dimensional y coordinate y by h. Okay. So, if you plot it for different pressure gradient, so obviously p greater than 0 it is favorable pressure gradient, p is, so you will get, you see this is the p is equal to 0, okay, for p is equal to 0, and it is a linear profile. If you see p is equal to 1, 2, 3, maximum velocity will occur, and if you your pressure gradient is adverse, then you can see p is equal to minus 1, this is the onset of flow reversal, and if you further decrease the pressure gradient, then flow reversal take place. Now, let us solve two problems. First problem we will consider as two layer quote flow. Already you have found the velocity profile as well as the volume flow rate per unit width. So, first problem is a layer of oil of thickness A and viscosity mu O floats on top of a layer of water of thickness B and viscosity mu W. Both layers are contained between two large flat plates, the lower of which is stationary and upper of which moves at a speed u in the x direction. Derive expressions for A the speed Vi of the water oil interface, and B the volumetric flow rates of oil and water Qo by W and Qw by W per unit distance normal to the direction of the flow. So, you can see bottom plate is stationary, upper plate is moving with a constant velocity u, oil of thickness A and water of thickness B. So, oil viscosity is mu O, water viscosity is mu W. So, in this case you know that at the interface oil water interface obviously shear stress will be continuous. Okay. So, you know the shear stress tau is equal to mu du by dy, and at this location if you see from water side and oil side, this shear stress will be same. So, shear stress if you calculate tau, this is mu du by dy, and in this case we can write the shear stress tau I at the interface, that means at this position. So, we know the velocity profile is linear for this case, but it will vary, right, depending on the values of these viscosities. So, this is linear. So, you can see that the velocity at this location, let us say V I interface velocity, then you can write tau I from oil side if you see. So, it will be mu O. So, du by dy, so it will be u minus V I divided by the distance a, right, because it is linear velocity profile. So, you can write this, and from the water side if you see, so it will be mu W V I divided by B. Okay. So, from here if you take V I in the left hand side, then you will get mu O by A plus mu W by B into V I is equal to mu O by A into U. So, from here you will be able to find the velocity V I as mu O by A divided by mu O by A plus mu W by B into U. So, this is the interface velocity. Next, we need to calculate the volumetric flow rates. So, you can see that as the velocity profile is linear, so you can write the volumetric flow rate in oil per unit width is equal to the flow area is A into W, but we are writing per unit width. So, Q naught by W is equal to A into the average velocity. So, what is the average velocity? So, as the velocity profile is linear, so you can write the average velocity as U plus V I by 2. Okay. And we know the expression of V I. So, if you put it here, so you will get A U by 2 1 plus V I by U. So, you will get A U by 2 1 plus mu O by A divided by mu O by A plus mu W by B. So, this will be U A by 2 twice mu O by A plus mu W by B divided by mu O by A plus mu W by B. Okay. So, you can see this is the volumetric flow rate inside the oil layer. Now, similarly you can calculate the volumetric flow rate inside the water. So, we will calculate Q W by W is equal to B into average velocity. What is the average velocity? It is V I by 2 only, because it is varying 0 to V I. So, it will be U B by 2 into mu O by A divided by mu O by A plus mu W by B. So, next we will consider another problem where you have combined Couette and Poiseuille flow. Oil viscosity mu and density rho is pumped from one reservoir to another, both of which are open to the atmosphere by means of a moving belt pump, a cross section of which is shown in the figure. The fluid velocity components lie entirely in the plane of figure and do not depend upon the distance normal to this plane. The difference in the levels of the free surface in the two reservoirs is d. The belt moves at a velocity u towards the deeper reservoir, carrying along the oil in a thin layer of depth h. The length of this layer L is so great that a fully developed unidirectional laminar viscous flow exists within the layer, having a velocity profile independent of the horizontal distance along the length L. The width of the pump normal to the plane of the figure is W. Derive an expressions for A, the horizontal component of the pressure gradient in the layer, and B, the volume flow rate Q through the pump, and C, the power required to run the pump. So, you can see this figure. So, this is the belt pump moving with a constant velocity u, okay. And you can see obviously from here this oil is pumped to a higher level in this reservoir. So, as the belt is moving in this direction, so obviously the fluid height will increase in the right side reservoir. So, you can see as there is a difference in oil level, so obviously there will be a pressure gradient and it is moving with a constant velocity u. So, it is a shear driven flow. So, it is a combined shear driven as well as pressure driven flow, and the distance you can see of this layer is h, small h, and w is the width of this plate, and we need to calculate a the horizontal component of the pressure gradient and volume flow rate q through the pump and the power required to run the pump. So, the pressure difference between two reservoirs at any elevation in the oil, okay, is, so you can see this is a hydrostatic pressure. So, it will be rho into g into the difference between two layers is d, small d. So, it is d. So, obviously, you can see the pressure gradient will be del p by del x is equal to rho g d and the length is L. So, rho g d by L. Okay. So, this is the constant pressure gradient. So, next we need to calculate the volume flow rate. So, Q by W, which is the volume flow rate per unit width. So, it will be combination of these two. So, one is U H by 2, this is due to plane quad flow, plus H cube by 12 mu minus del P by del X, which is due to the plane Poiseuille flow. So, from here you can see U H by 2, del P by del X you know. So, if you put this, you will get rho g d h cube by 12 mu L. Now, the shear stress tau on the moving belt. So, it will be tau is equal to mu u by h plus h by 2 del p by del x. So, this we have already derived in today's class. So, if you put the value of del p by del x, you are going to get mu u by h plus rho g d h by 2 L. Next, we need to calculate the power input. Okay. So, the power input P is the product of the force on the belt. So, what is that? Obviously, it will be tau into area. So, tau into W into L times the velocity. U. So, P will be shear stress. So, shear stress is tau W L, that is the force into velocity u. So, it will be, so tau expression is this one. So, if you put it here, so you will get u W L mu u by h plus rho g d h by 2 L. Okay. So, this is the power input P. So, in today's class we considered combined Couette and Poiseuille flow. You have seen that this is a combined pressure driven and shear driven flow. In this case, you have seen as the governing equation is linear and homogeneous, the velocity profile is the superposition of two velocities, one is from plane Couette flow plus the velocity profile from the plane Poiseuille flow. Then we calculated the shear stress distribution inside the fluid domain and we calculated the volumetric flow rate per unit width. Here we have expressed one pressure parameter P in terms of pressure gradient del P by del x, and for favorable pressure gradient P is greater than 0 and for adverse pressure gradient P is less than 0. As it is the flow due to pressure driven as well as shear driven flow, in this case depending on the pressure gradient there may be flow reversal, and we have seen that maximum or minimum velocity may occur inside the flow domain. Considering favorable pressure gradient, we have seen that if P is equal to 1, then shear stress will become 0 at the top plate and velocity gradient will be 0. And if you further increase the pressure gradient, then maximum velocity will occur near to the bottom plate. If we consider adverse pressure gradient, then for P is equal to -1, the shear stress will become 0 at the bottom plate, and that is the onset of flow reversal. If you further decrease the pressure parameter P, then flow reversal will take place and minimum velocity will occur near to the bottom plate. There is a special case when P is equal to -3, then volumetric flow rate becomes 0, hence average velocity is 0. So, you will get recirculating flow inside the flow domain. Thank you.